Hi, I'm Hunter.
I'm David.
Welcome back to Screen and Ink. This is episode 1 of our House of the Dragon recap.
So, episode 4,
Mm-hmm.
another great episode.
Great episode. A little bit slower this time. It feels like
For sure.
a regular season 3 opener. Like this should have been episode 1 almost.
Yeah,
Like, because
100%.
we're talking about episode 1 and 2 is basically 9 and 10 for season 2.
Yes.
So this feels a little bit more like
Definitely
Yeah.
getting into the feel of the season.
Right.
Of course, 'cause every episode can't be like
A
episode
banger.
1 and 2.
right.
Yeah. But I will say, I think they've gone 4 for 4
I do
so
too.
far this
do too.
season. If
Ormond is something else.
something
man.
else. A great character, but,
yeah.
I couldn't really decide how I felt about him. And
yeah.
that's a reoccurring theme, I think, with the Hightower characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otto, at first, he seemed, you could tell he was extremely intelligent. Of course, he was not the first son, right?
Yeah.
He's not Lord of the Hightower, so
Yeah, right.
you knew he had to have some ability about him to be Viserys' Hand of the King.
Right.
Of course, it did not take long for us to
Yeah.
see that he was pretty
See the little
snaky.
scumbag.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It seems like that's been kind of a reoccurring theme. The Hightowers are very good at putting on a face.
Oh yeah, and you see it with Ormond. You see
yes.
it when Hugh's wife goes out there with her brother, right after. And I gotta
Absolutely.
say this real quick. I understand that that this is war, and Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon want to interpret to us that like it's like bad, like it like fuck, I don't know how to say it. That like the soldiers, it's gruesome,
Mm-hmm.
and when they take over a town, they're gonna have their ways.
Sure.
But that's 3 episodes, I think, in a row with sexual assault.
Yes.
And what is going on with that? Again, now there's another example, like another scene, like making. I get that they moved in.
Mhm.
Some soldiers are gonna have their way
Yeah.
with some of these peasants. But
Yes.
God, another episode with SA is just kind of shocking.
It is.
They
It is
keep doing
shocking. And of course, that would be happening.
Right.
Of in
course.
a realistic scenario.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it, of course. Was that episode 1 when Gawain saw one of the King's Guard
Yeah.
assaulting a woman in his
Mhm.
tent right outside his Lord Commander's tent.
And Kristen just does nothing.
Kristen does nothing, at least not that we saw.
Oh yeah.
And
And then you got Lord Jasper, Iron Rod,
of course,
does it
yes,
to
trying to assault Alicent.
and nobody would have done anything if
Yeah.
it wasn't for Orwell.
Mm-hmm.
And Orwell knows who Iron Rod is. And he just automatically
Sure.
is like, yeah, I'm going to believe Alicent with
Yes.
this one.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, this episode was really good.
It was a really good
I
episode.
want to talk about Sunfire and this scene with Aegon. And what...
Mhm.
Because Aegon is just like, okay, I get to finally see him after,
body.
however long it's been.
Yes.
And then he immediately goes to that he's alive.
Yes, like we see him right here in this scene. We have it playing behind the camera.
Yeah.
We see him right here. You see he's just absolutely destroyed, so gutted.
Right.
Seeing his dragon
I like
absolutely
that we see
mangled.
that from him with Sunfire because we barely ever
Of
saw
course.
a scene with him and Sunfire. And
Yes.
he is one of the most beautiful dragons.
One of the most beautiful dragons. One of our favorites from
One of
Fire
our
and Blood.
favorites. Absolutely. She's beautiful. So, to see Aegon's kind of side of, like, being distraught about her come
course.
out is very interesting to see.
Especially since you spend so much of the show really despising
Despising
Aegon.
Yep.
Of course, he was a bully to his younger brother
Yep.
and pretty much everyone else whenever
Mhm.
he was a kid. Then he gets made king, and he spends his time, abusing
Yeah.
servants,
Yeah.
abusing his younger brother, Aemon,
Yeah.
when he frankly should be making Aemon his closest friend,
Right, as
seeing
we
as he
see.
is one of the best warriors in the
Mhm.
realm, one of the best sword fighters,
And
I
we
should
see
say,
that in
and rides the biggest dragon.
exactly. But it feels like there's this like it feeds that scene where Aegon goes, he's alive, and
Hmm.
everybody's like, what? Like, what does he mean? It feels like it's more of that. It feeds into that mystical side of House of the Dragon, where
For
it's
sure.
like
The
the bond
Targaryens.
between the Targaryens and not even just the Targaryens, but the Dragon Riders and their dragons.
Yes.
So, like, does he sense it? Like,
Mhm.
on just. Because, like, it's not like you see Sunfire breathe right here, or you hear.
No, he looks
He-
very
it
dead. He
looks
could be
complete-
made of stone in that
Yes.
scene.
And
Yeah.
even, like, when Bela, like, flew over, like, in the last episode, she's like, Sunfire's dead.
Right. Yeah.
So, like.
And she says dead and decaying.
Right.
Yeah, which is
Right.
very odd. Which I will say, the grass has grown up around it and everything, and it looks the brutal wound that it has on its, I believe its neck, has clearly mortified. It's turned black, so I can see where she would think that.
Right.
But yeah, it does make you think. Did he just sense it within himself? Is it just that magical sort of connection that the Targaryens have with their
Right.
dragons, or?
Right.
Because you see Larys in that scene is completely convinced that dragon is dead.
Right. He's not holding back on anything.
But also at the same time, it makes you think Larys is not stupid by any means.
Mm-mm.
He's very intelligent.
Right.
Does he want Aegon to believe that his dragon is dead? He might have heard that and thought, oh
Right.
no.
Right.
I don't want
Larys is
Aegon
always-
getting back on a dragon because I
Larys-
can't control him.
Right. He's always scheming.
Yes.
So, and, he comes from Harrenhal. We know Alice is a witch
Mhm.
or a possible warg, possible greenseer. Like, we have no idea what truly she is.
Yeah.
And she tells Kristen right here that she's a steward. But 2 episodes ago, well, in the first season, or in the first episode, she has no problem
She's a
telling.
witch.
She has no
Yeah.
problem telling Adam and Ulf and Hugh, I'm a witch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear her goat, because I think she's a warg.
Yes.
And I think is she a skin changer or is she a warg?
Mhm.
That's also like one of those things, because they always say that they see a goat,
Yes.
and Damon saw the goat too. But then she's
And-
not far behind in each of those scenes.
Yeah.
So it feeds into, like, is she just warging?
Yeah.
Or is she...
And like we talked about, a week or so ago, how did she get to the Isle of Faces? Did she
Right.
did she swim out there?
No.
She didn't. She surely didn't teleport.
Absolutely not.
But I
She
mean,
says she's a barn owl too.
right. But it begs the question. Sure, she might be a warg. I really like that theory.
Mm-hmm.
But if she is a warg, her physical body would still be in the same place when she was warging into
Exactly.
an animal.
Exactly. So
how,
that doesn't work.
Yeah, unless she warged into something that carried her over there. But
Yeah.
you brought up the black goat.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of other kind of mythologies, and even a black goat is sort of evil. Even in Christianity,
Right.
a black goat is sometimes, or goats in general are sometimes related to, like, or correlated with Satan.
Right.
So is this, could that be alluding to she might be something darker?
Darker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Right.
like that. And then, they had the theories online after the first episode that she knew Melisandre and all this stuff, and we don't believe all of that. But,
Right.
I mean, who knows with this show?
I mean, we know Melisandre is out there walking around somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
Yep, she
probably
definitely is.
in a shy, but
Oh, yeah.
you know, I mean, it's anything's possible, but I don't. I would have a hard time believing that until I actually saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And where is Aemon? Does they just?
yeah, I mean, maybe she's got him completely in hand now, and she's sending him on missions.
So, in the trailer for the next episode, I
Mhm.
feel like we can talk about this. It's not really a spoiler,
Mm-hmm.
but in the trailer for the next episode, he's clearly in. It looks like he's
He's in Harrenhal.
Harrenhal.
Yes,
But where the hell is Vhagar?
and because
He
you
just
remember,
sends him off.
yeah, because
or her
remember
off?
the Hightowers, you know, right in this scene right here.
They said that they cleared the castle.
and they found where a dragon was nesting
Right.
nearby.
So is he just hunting, or did
Hmm.
Aemond actually send him away, or did Alice do something to Vhagar and send him away? No idea, man.
Very good question.
I like that she's definitely controlling Aemond on some sort of level.
Absolutely.
So she clearly brings him back.
Mhm.
He's not dead, obviously. He's too big of a character to be dead.
Yes.
But what type of trickery is she playing on him like she played on Daemon?
And I feel like Aemon in particular is so in need of affection,
Mhm.
you know, because Alicent, I don't think, did a very good job of loving any of her children,
No.
personally.
No.
And Aemon especially, you know, he's got that second son syndrome,
Yep.
that air and despair. You know, he rides the biggest dragon. He's a much better fighter.
Yep.
He
He has something to prove. He always has something to prove.
he's frankly smarter than Aegon.
He's just
and
like Daemon.
Just
With the
like
second
Daemon.
son syndrome, like you're talking about.
Yes.
You know, he's never gonna be king.
Hmm.
You know, he wants to prove himself always. He never got the love
Yeah.
that he thought he was owed.
Hmm.
But Viserys did. Aegon kinda did, because he was in line for the throne. So they're obviously gonna give him all the attention.
Sure.
So
Let's bounce back to the beginning of the episode real quick.
all right, let's do it.
We saw Orwell. He was giving Rhaenyra advice, and then he was quick to start to scurry out of the room. I'm sure he's still terrified for his life. Remember, he was almost executed 2 days in a row by two different by two different Targaryens.
Yes, dude.
So I'm sure he's, you know, feeling very tense right
I love
now.
how Rhaenyra
Um,
is doing away with the balls and the thing.
That's exactly what I was about to bring up, because we've asked this question multiple times. Why aren't the balls a thing? Because I sort of liked that
It is
thing,
kind
you
of
know.
an interesting little niche.
Yeah, it's almost
quality.
like I'm checking in
Yeah.
to the High Council.
Yeah, I'm
and
clocking in.
if you don't have one of these, you know, your words in this space don't really mean anything. You know?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And the first thing I noted was small council, still small,
Very yes.
still small.
Yep.
Still had. I mean, she has her Kingsguard now.
Mhm.
I don't know if she has the full Kingsguard or she just has a protector at this moment, because we only see one. And what's his? I forgot
What was
his name.
his name?
Is it Redfoot?
Redfort.
Redfort.
Adrian Redfort.
Adrian Redfort.
Mhm.
Yeah. So she appoints him. I don't know if we have the rest of them, but she still only has Massaria, and now she grants Orwell to be on the council.
Yes.
Still has Daemon as an advisor, I would guess.
Yep. And then, you know, she says, "Where's my hand?" You know, and we kind of looked at each other like, hand, you know,
yeah.
maybe Daemon. But then it cuts to
Corlys.
a few
Yeah.
scenes later, and he, you know, is clearly the hand of the
Still
king. So we see, even though he had the whole spill where he
The bastard thing.
very loudly said that all of her sons were bastards, even going as far to say that Jace lived and died a bastard. That's a very loud display right there in front of
I'm honestly surprised that she didn't take his head
100%.
immediately.
100%.
Like, I
And-
understand it's probably not the smartest idea,
Oh, absolutely.
but for someone to say that to you in front of
Your
own-
household.
in your house.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's a drift, and I don't care if he's a Valarian.
Yeah.
I don't care if one of his bastards has a dragon. Adam and Alan are already they've spent their whole lives pushed to the side by this man.
Sure.
So if you went and took his head right now, would they really
Especially Alan.
would they really rise up
Yes.
and revolt to you?
I feel like Adam is certainly, I think, closer to Corlys because he's
Adam or Alan?
Adam, because he doesn't have a dragon,
But
and
Alan doesn't have the dragon.
Thank you.
Yeah, but
Thank
I
you.
understood what you meant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alan,
For sure.
Alan, he was in the Battle of the Gullet
Yeah.
with Corlys.
And then he was
had-
fighting with the Stepstones with him last season, and he saved him.
Very true.
And now they've had multiple intimate scenes
Yes.
alone together, and he wants to. I mean, he already has. That's his son. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't have the name yet.
Yep. Whereas Adam, he's gotten a dragon because of Rhaenyra.
And you think
he
that
was
Corlys would give him a little bit more,
you
because
would
like
think.
that's his son's dragon.
Yep.
You think that he would give him a little bit of a nod,
hmm
other than his.
Which also, let's talk about that real quick. He is riding
Mm-hmm.
his son's dragon.
Right.
Where is his son? Because
Yeah. Where is?
it's
Laenor?
been established so far in the Song of Ice and Fire lore that a dragon will only take one rider at a
Right.
time. Since he abandoned his dragon and left him and moved to another continent, maybe that means that his dragon will let another rider mount him, and it's been some time. Or does that mean that he's dead? He's been killed somewhere.
That's very possible.
hmm
I mean, there's no telling what he got into over in wherever he went, Bravos,
Because-
Pentos, wherever he went.
Of course, we hear rumors about it in the book Fire and Blood about what happened to him later on, but
Yeah.
will we see something about that in the show? I'm really
Doubt it.
curious. I also doubt it.
Yeah.
I think he's probably gone now.
Now we could use that logic as to why Sea Smoke acted so weird and hesitant,
mhm,
and
mhm.
just went and looked for a rider years later after
Years
Laenor
later. Sure.
after Laenor vanished.
Yep.
So maybe it does mean that Laenor is dead, and that's why that Sea Smoke just up and
Yeah.
felt a Valarian nearby and went and chose one.
So we just passed these scenes in Tumbleton, where the High
Yes.
Tower host is there.
Mhm.
We knew they were there already, but they are occupying the town now, and by force. They are not being kind about it, especially the foot troops themselves.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, and they're forcing them to harbor them, which of course that makes callbacks to real life situations. Like think about the American Revolution when
Yep.
British troops were
Just moving in.
moving
taking
into
over.
Americans' homes,
Yep.
and of course that was an outrage,
Mhm.
and I'm sure these people don't take it any more kindly.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah. Especially since I don't know how much provisions this army that's been marching for months probably actually has with them. So they're probably eating from the households that they're in. This is probably going to cause a lot of strain inside of Tumbleton.
And I was thinking that same point with Kristen,
Mm-hmm.
because they've marched so far to Harrenhal, and now their plan is to form this militia guerrilla warfare tactics
Yes.
and disperse on the River Lords,
Mm-hmm.
like with everybody, with Black Alley and Tully's and all of them.
Yes.
So it's I always think about like how are they?
Yeah, how are they still feeding themselves?
Yeah, what's the supply line?
Which, of course, the Riverlands are pretty full of
That's
food,
true.
generally speaking. Tywin in the Game of Thrones series lives off the Riverlands for a very, very
That's
long
true.
time, while the Westerlands stay completely untouched. You know, they're not eating their own food at all.
That's true.
And they've been in summer, I believe, for quite a while.
Yeah.
In Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm. And when we hear
or
Kragan,
in House of the Dragon.
we
Sorry.
hear Kragan, say that winter is like coming,
Yes.
like it is on its way.
Mm-hmm.
So, food will be start to become scarce.
Sure.
And it already is in King's Landing.
Yeah,
And that's
you
already
hear
putting-
Allison say the granaries
Yeah.
are basically depleted, and
And the food that Rhaenyra gives to the the small folk, that's not gonna last.
yeah, right. Sure, it's good for a day. It'll make them cheer you for a little
or
while.
like a few days, a
Mhm.
week maybe,
Yes.
if you ration it well. But
But once it's gone,
they're gonna be right back to. And then you see this. Another thing I want to say about the small folk. You see the Queen of Bastards sign.
Mm-hmm.
Last episode, we saw Septon. Don't make an enemy of the faith.
Could it be something to do with?
That lordling in the courtyard said that it was Hightower loyalist.
Yes,
I think that also refers to the faith. And I think
that's a very good point.
And we'll save a little bit of this for the spoiler section at the end of the episode that
Mhm.
you should definitely stick around for. But I think it is someone else
Mhm.
that is doing this. But yes.
Speaking of them running out of food in King's Landing, in the previous episode, Lord Manderley, who's in King's Landing right now,
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that it was a good display. You know, he actually quite enjoyed it, and the small folk would like it, and that maybe would even make them forget that it was her blockade in the first place that caused the famine.
Right.
I think that's definitely going to be something that comes back to bite her.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Because she's now reaping
the consequences
the
of her own
consequence-
actions.
Exactly.
Yes. And she was doing this, and don't get me wrong, it's a good tactic. Of course, it's savage, to starve out a populace. But if you want somebody ejected from their castle, if you can starve their own people and make their own people do it for you,
Yeah. Absolutely.
it's definitely the way to go. But now we see Daemon was quick to convince her to take King's Landing.
Yeah.
And now she is the one that gets to deal with those consequences, while it might set up the Greens to somewhat look like liberators later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to take it back a little bit right here. That when I think it was at the beginning of the episode, Ormond was talking about Lord Boros Baratheon. Now this guy made such a uproar when Lucerys came to plead. Aemon was there to win his side as well.
Yes,
Got Lucerys killed, basically.
certainly.
And now, where is he? You think that when the Hightowers and the Baratheons join forces, it's almost over
Yeah,
for any army that they might come in contact with.
sure.
Where is he at?
Yeah,
Why isn't Storm's End marching with them? I just think that he is, he talked so shitty about Rhaenyra,
sure.
and now he's afraid of Rhaenyra and her dragons.
Absolutely.
I think that is a smart.
Because on paper, she does have more dragons
Mhm.
currently.
Yeah.
But
So I think he's being
he might
He
be.
just don't want no kind of smoke
Sure.
with her at all.
Let's see. One scene that we saw not too far into the episode was her going to Alicent not once, but twice in this
Yeah,
episode.
It's a little bit like she wants her friend back a little bit.
Yeah.
She
and
also wants her queenly advice.
absolutely, because you could tell in the previous episode, she takes the throne, and we see her fully, because she takes it in the episode before that, but we see her, actually trying to rule. We see her hold court.
Yeah. Especially while, Viserys was on his deathbed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no, I mean Rhaenyra in this previous episode.
Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. She takes the throne in the one before that, and then in this previous episode, we see her actually sit the throne, and she's holding court.
Right.
And earlier in that episode, she's being hounded through the halls by everybody you can think of.
Yeah, anybody and everybody.
Yes. She doesn't even have a King's Guard at the time. So she is very lost. She's never had to rule.
Right.
And keep in mind, Otto made sure that she was never really able to sit in council. Anytime she would talk while they were in council when she was growing up, Otto would say, maybe we should give her this duty, or maybe we should send her there.
Yeah, he was always trying to get her out of the council meeting so he could keep implementing his plots.
Absolutely. And to make sure that Rhaenyra, if she ever does come into power, does not have the experience to successfully rule.
Because you can be a lord of any kind of castle, and you can tell your maidens to do this or your soldiers to do that. But when you're the actual queen or king of an entire 7 kingdoms.
Yeah, and you're trying to take care of a city of what we hear between anywhere 500,000 and 1 million people in King's Landing.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really know, but we know it's way too many people in a city for this time. It could never be supported in a time that's not extremely bountiful.
How about this scene with Daemon and Rhaena?
This was crazy. One of the best shots, I think, from the season.
Walking out. Absolutely.
The dragon opens its mouth behind her, and we see her almost engulfed in the flames.
Yes, dude. I really enjoyed this whole scene, and Rhaena finally getting some of her recognition from her father, who's cast her out.
Absolutely.
Basically, her whole life, and it's just. You feel for Rhaena in this scene. You do,
absolutely.
And what she wanted to help, but she didn't. She just thought that she didn't think Sheepstealer was going to go after everybody. And that comes back to the main point of this whole show and what Viserys said. The idea that we control the dragons is an illusion.
Yes.
That famous quote that he tells Rhaenyra. And that has come to fruition a lot in this show. It came to fruition with Aemond and Lucerys.
Yep.
And then with Sheepstealer and Jace.
Both times ending in the death of a prince.
Exactly.
And their respective dragon.
And it almost happens right here, and I was telling you earlier during this scene. The only way I don't think that Caraxes, immediately goes for Sheepstealer is because the experience and the bond that him and Daemon have is on some other level.
And Daemon is a full-grown man at this point. And his will is he's actually able to assert his will over Caraxes. Yes.
Right, but even when he was, and it's still hard. Because when he was getting on Caraxes, when he was leaving the Vale with the gold, Caraxes was shaken and then took off. And he's like, whoa.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like, are we supposed to think that he just found that cave somewhere out in the hills of the Vale? No, I think Caraxes took him to it. Yes, absolutely.
Because he felt it. And that it just goes to show when they are fixed on something, they will do what they want.
Absolutely.
And then we think about what the High Septon said to Rhaenyra, about dragons being created.
Yes.
And it's like, that feeds deeper into the theory, did the Valyrians use their magic, combine it with humans and the wyverns and all of that, and create the dragons themselves. And that's why they are the only house and the only people that could ever control a dragon.
Sure.
So
yeah, I think absolutely that's why of course the Valyrians cannot control dragons and everything because we read in the it's not in Fire and Blood, it's in the
is it the World of Ice
of Ice and Fire? Yes, we know that there were, I believe, 40 different houses in Old Valyria that were dragon lords, and the other Valyrian families were just that. They were Valyrian families. They were not really, and they would never even be. Even during that time, you know, they were inbreeding with each other and everything.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
occasionally they would marry between, you know, the noble houses,
Yeah.
the houses of the dragon lords in Old Valyria. But the other Valyrian families were never, that did not already have dragons, they were not let near those,
Right,
you know,
no.
any sort of dragons. They did not want, you know, there to be more dragon lords. And of course, that's why the Valarians, even though they trace their ancestry back thousands of years, you know, even to Old Valyria,
Yeah.
they had to carve out their own way through
And it's only from
ships.
marrying in with Targaryens that they can
Much
you know,
later.
ride,
Yes.
you know, dragons and control them.
And don't you think it's a bit interesting, even 300 years after Aegon's conquest, that we only have one marriage between a Valarian and a
The Targaryen.
Targaryen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It shows you that as screwed up as it is with the whole, you know, incest thing,
Mm-hmm.
it did work for them.
It did,
For a long
absolutely, in consolidating their power, absolutely. And it is messed up. And, you know, it seems I feel like it can seem sometimes like, you know, the inbreeding between the Targaryens doesn't really have any consequences for them. Because we don't see a whole bunch of them coming out deformed and everything.
Right.
But so many of them are mad.
Mad.
Absolutely mad.
Very mad.
And several Targaryen rulers call this, you know, the blood of the dragon. When, you know, when a Targaryen is super quick to anger or, you know, very fiery, they call that the blood of the dragon.
Yeah.
Is it that? Or is it just because you've been interbreeding for thousands of years, and even magic may have consequences? Do you want to talk about this scene
Let's
right
talk
here?
about this scene real
this was
quick.
one of the biggest things that actually kind of irritated me from the episode.
Yeah.
Phenomenal episode. I would give it, you know, an 8 or 9 out of 10.
Yeah, for sure.
Another phenomenal episode, but this did actually quite irritate
Yeah,
me.
Ormond having his little crash out scene
Yes.
is just it suits the character because he's definitely like a well-kept man in public.
Yeah.
And the way Darren gets out of the way and he tells the other squire to leave and everything, this is definitely a thing that he does
100%.
when he gets pissed. But for people that don't know, Ormond has a Valyrian steel
Yes,
sword
vigilance.
in the books. And it's definitely not the case here.
No.
Because he would have sliced through this damn desk
Absolutely.
in one stroke.
Which he might act, you know, that might be vigilance.
Right, but
If you look up a picture of it online, the pommel does look
so is it
similar. I do believe he is wielding vigilance, the Valyrian steel sword, but I kind of hope he's not. He should be, but I kind of hope he's not because, like you said, if he slashed at that table,
right in half.
even once, he would have cut right through it.
Right.
Because those swords, they're not just steel; they are magic.
Right.
You know, there's a reason that they can't just be made. You know, we have people in Game of Thrones we see that can remake them,
Yeah.
but those swords are
Very
You know.
rare and very powerful.
yes,
And they're not just any sword like you were saying. They will go through just about anything.
anything. Yeah. I mean they cut other swords.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Through a wooden table, that it would go through it like cheese.
Makes me think, how did how does the Hightowers have a
Valyrian steel sword.
Valyrian steel sword?
You know, that's a good question.
They're all about this. They're all very pompous and very anti-Valyrian almost. You know,
Yeah.
they grew up with the Seven, and
Yes.
you can see it with Ormond when he's telling
Especially
Darren at the end of the episode.
that there's a taint in his blood and everything. He has
The
this
taint in his blood
he has
is
this
absurd.
supremacist mindset.
Yes,
You know that
yes.
the Targaryens. You know, we get told so much that the Targaryens are closer to gods than men. Even when Ulf is going into the tavern, you know, they slap him on the chest and they say, "More God than man."
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's a
It's a
very reoccurring
Yeah,
theme.
and it's a common thing that people know.
Absolutely. But we see that Ormond is saying just the opposite
No.
in
Yeah.
this. You know, that they are essentially abominations. And even further than this, when Darren tries to speak out against the violence that Ormond is trying to get him to do against
Mm-hmm.
this man, he looks at him and, you know, almost kind of bucks at him a little bit. You know, you could see the anger flash across him, and he's like, "That's something your father would say." And you know, we see Darren is cowed by this. You know, he backs
shies
up
about
and
this, yeah.
even
with, the
with his dragon right behind
what
him.
is?
Yeah,
It's just it shows that he's been raised like this.
absolutely. He's been very manipulated and kind of just bred to
And what does
think
that
like.
remind us of? A high tower influencing a Targaryen, making them bow to
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely, just like Viserys
And
under Otto.
Same literal
Absolutely.
same thing.
And, you know, once again, to go even a step further, we see him say that he has to take the throne.
Yeah.
Even though that, one, they do not know Aegon is dead. It's been put out there by Rhaenyra, but nobody has been shown.
Aemon
and
is technically
Aemon
king
is-
by the
yes.
raven that he got from Alicent.
Absolutely.
But he thinks it's from Aemon. You know, he says,
Absolutely.
oh, he's crowned himself king. But then Aemon is still out there. Aemon's
Yes.
not dead.
Yeah, absolutely. But he knows that Aemon is a true Targaryen. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? But he looks at Darren, you know, he's even got the hair, which I think was a phenomenal change. You know, we've seen some people on YouTube say that, like, I don't know, or like,
Yeah.
if his hair color was ever stated. It was in
It
the
was.
books. Yeah,
It
he
definitely was.
does have Targaryen hair. He has very Targaryen features
Right.
in the books.
Right. It's the matter of did he dye it like he did with the other kid?
Right.
Now,
Right.
Did he do this to protect Darren when they went off to war?
Mm-hmm.
Because no one knows what Darren looks like other
That's
than
true.
his men.
It does look very natural though, and it's an odd tone to, you know,
Alicent.
that auburn
Yeah,
kind of
just looks just
color.
like Alicent. Yeah.
Very. And
I'd reckon to say that it's not.
yes,
dyed. It's just how he was born.
It's his hair, and I think that is actually a really good change by the showrunners.
I do like it.
I like it a lot.
do
I
like
wasn't
it.
sure about it at first because any sort of change from the books kind of irritate me just a little
Especially when it comes to Dragon Riders
bit. 100%.
and Targaryens.
Because they're supposed to be, you know, they're the main characters.
Yeah,
you know?
and it doesn't matter if like one of these Targaryen, kings, breeds with, I mean, even a Targaryen daughter, most of the time when they breed, that white hair
Comes
comes
through.
out. You can
Absolutely.
see it with Hugh.
Absolutely.
It comes out.
Of course, you know, the exception is, of course, having Rhaenyra having children with Harwin Strong,
That's true.
Lucerys, Jace, and
Joffrey.
all
Yeah.
have brown hair.
That is true.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess, I mean, but then
But
that
no,
feeds
but
into
no,
the
I absolutely-
conspiracy of did Alicent
Did
have,
Alicent have an affair
Did she
with somebody?
Is he a bastard, and that's why he's been sent to ward so quickly?
And, you know, of course, this happened at the end of the episode, and we're jumping ahead a little bit. But
Yeah.
speaking of having an affair,
What the hell
what the heck?
with
Helena she is definitely pregnant.
So for the
Um,
people that are just watching
Mhm.
this show, have no really a clue about the book. Helena and Aegon have another son.
Yes, they have 3 children in the books.
And his name is Maelor.
Yes.
And this is really what George was up in arms about.
Yes.
With his blog and everything. Well, Maelor seems to be coming into the picture now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll save the rest for the spoiler section at the end. But it just makes me think: is it Aegon's? Because there's no way. Right?
No, I don't think it can be Aegon's. Because I mean, she would have had to have sex with him in his bed, you
Right.
know, while he was burnt to a crisp, and he
And he
he
doesn't
can't
have-
even walk or
He
you know.
doesn't even
at the-
have the ability to perform anymore.
That's a very good point, Hunter. Yeah, I didn't even.
and it
Of
says
course,
it
I
in
didn't.
Fire
He
and Blood
says
too.
he says it bursts like a sausage.
Yeah, yeah.
in the previous season.
And it says in Fire and Blood that, Aegon gets urges. That's all he has. He just gets urges. But he does not have anything else down
Yeah.
there. So, but is it Aemond? Aemond was very fond of her. In the Driftmark
Absolutely.
episode in season 1, he goes, I would take her to wife. I would do my duty. Aegon's like, you marry her then. He's like, I would. I'd do it. Aegon has no interest
Yeah.
in Helena. Aemond does. Now,
Yes.
you said this earlier. Did Aemond possibly
Assault her.
Assault her.
I think that's very possible.
It makes it seem so weird that he would do that, though. I know he's a violent creature,
I also don't really
but
see
his
him
own
doing
sister that he was so fond of, I don't think so. I think if it was with Aemon, then it has to be because they actually cared for each other then. Possibly. I don't know. Or is it some mystical thing that's going on with Helena? Because we have this connection that she has with Alice and the Isle of Faces.
That's
Is
true.
this some kind of, it sounds
And we
funny
know-
to say this, but like some Jesus,
it. Yes, some like immaculate conception
Exactly.
type stuff.
and
That's
that
true.
feeds more into the magic that they are kind of getting into
Yes.
in this show, which they never
Which-
got into with Game of Thrones.
Which I love.
Keep it
because
going.
that's one thing that George said, in interviews, that the gods, all of the gods in the show, he's not really gonna confirm whether or not that those are real.
Yeah.
We can kind of decide on that. But obviously, not all of the gods are real at the very least. But what we do know is real is magic. Magic is real.
Right.
So I also love that they're digging more into that, because we see the Red Priests and Melisandre
Yeah.
doing magic, but that's about as far as that goes
Yeah.
in the Game of Thrones show.
Because they built up this prophecy all for just about nothing in the end. Just about. But
Yeah.
we don't talk about
Yeah,
season
we're
8
We're
around
not
here.
gonna get into it.
Also, let's back up a little bit.
Uh-huh.
A couple scenes before this one with Damon. Who does Ulf think he is? Walking in here, trying to ask for pardons for his buddies.
That's a bonehead move for anybody, man. I mean, I
Freaking
know he's from
dumbass.
Flea Bottom, and he is quite the idiot.
Yeah, he
But
is.
even the biggest moron would know
Wouldn't
that
go
that
to the
is
queen.
that is not the way to go about that.
And she's very irritated about this, and I feel like
Yeah.
this might plant a little bit of a seed into Rhaenyra's mind, like you were saying earlier,
hmm
that, whatever comes of this, it might not be good. for-
100%.
for Ulf.
I think in that did it already pass? I think it did.
Yes.
Yeah. In that scene, we really see her kind of just look ahead, like in, the room. She's almost kind of spaces out, and you can see the gears turning in
Yeah.
her head, and almost this Mad Queen-esque type
Right.
look that she
and
gets
he
in her
feels
eyes.
the need to bring up the Queen of Bastards.
Exactly.
What
And
are
I
you
think
doing?
that was almost spiteful on his part.
Yes, because he
To
didn't.
bring
He's
up
not like him and Hugh feel like they are owed something.
100%.
And I understand Hugh wanting to go to Tumbleton, and she does grant that, but
Yeah.
in cycles. Now that doesn't happen in the book. She
Yes.
sends both of them to
Mhm.
Tumbleton, but I get the cycle though. It is a very smart move. You don't want to send both of them, just especially if you're not going to attack. You're just going
Right.
to scout. So I get that, but they feel so entitled. Especially it feels like we've been here a few days.
Yeah. And, that's not the first time Ulf has said something so stupid like that. Like when she asked when her and Damon were together and Damon was about to knight the three of them.
Yeah.
Adam, Ulf, and Hugh.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
She asked Ulf how he wants to style himself,
A
and he says
Targaryen.
Targaryen. she says, "Oh no, certainly
Not
not."
even
Like
close.
almost like it put a bad taste in her mouth, literally.
Yes.
Like she recoiled from it, like she had just been slapped.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not the brightest bunch, but we also see, gosh, that's such a
I can't believe
that's
it
going to
still.
have major consequences
Yeah.
later. We're watching the scene right
Especially
now.
in what happens when Rhaenyra finds out. What happens when Rhaenyra
Very
finds
true,
out?
because that's another heir.
Is she just
That's
gonna,
another heir.
Is she gonna
Yeah.
might take a sword to Helena?
Or maybe she feels like her and her baby, maybe she has some sort of vision about
Right.
it, and that leads to, her ultimate fate, whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
But goodness, I forgot where I was. Oh no, okay, back to the meeting where Rhaenyra was talking to Ulf in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
She tells him that he must do his drinking inside the Red Keep, and
Yeah.
he must remain in the Red Keep until he is escorted
To the dragon.
to the Dragon Pit.
To the dragon pit. Yeah.
That
Seems like an error.
I think is an error.
Now you gotta, if you're not gonna.
That
grant
is his
them-
dragon. I mean, for better or worse, he is a dragon lord.
Exactly. These
And
guys
you
need to be
made him
free.
such,
Mhm.
and when you give a man that much power, it's not something you can just,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a carrot on a stick.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's already, it's like giving, giving somebody a nuke and being like, you can have the nuke sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
basically, because
Yeah.
the dragons are essentially their nukes.
they're essentially nuclear weapons. Yeah.
Also, sending the City Watch out here.
Terrible move. You don't have somebody like Daemon there to, of course Daemon was brutal, we see in the first season with his gold cloaks, but that was for a good reason.
And they were in peacetime.
Exactly. Nobody was starving.
They were about
at
to have
the
a
time.
tourney.
Yep.
With a tourney.
And they were cleaning up like a rat-infested
Right.
flea bottom.
Right.
Where everybody was, committing assault
Mm-hmm.
on innocent people, stealing from one another, murders all the time. And
You
he
have-
went
you
in there
have
and he
lords and
wasn't
everything.
just murdering people, dragging them out of their homes and beating them. People that were proven thieves, he was pulling them out and cutting a hand off.
Yeah.
Or if
people
they
were,
SA,
they cut the other
they
thing
would
off.
geld them.
Exactly.
So on and so forth.
You can't do that, especially to a starving city.
No,
You gonna
it's
throw
like,
them out of their homes now?
it's like kicking a hornet's nest.
So
you
what
know
are we
what I
doing,
mean?
Rhaenyra?
Yeah, and I feel like this is a series of bad decisions
It's gonna start coming for Rhaenyra.
that are going to come back and bite Rhaenyra hard.
Absolutely.
Of course, we don't want to get into too much to that, like at this moment.
Right.
But she's making major mistakes, and the way it's almost the first when she was talking to Orwell, and Orwell, who is not a military strategist, mind you,
No.
he is a maester, and maesters can be military strategists because of course in
They
the
gotta get the
Citadel
chain,
they
though.
they make a link for military strategy and
Yeah.
everything. Because they do need to advise their lords, during times of war. And, I'm trying to think of an example. Maester Lewin, when he's talking to Rob.
Yes.
And,
What he should do.
Yeah, when him and Theon are in the hall.
Yeah.
And, the scene where Rob calls his banners.
Mhm.
Lewin is, he's counseling him very well in that moment, and you can see he's very wise, when
And
it
he
comes
accepts
to...
that of Rob.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, this is the smart decision to do.
Yes. But we see Orwell essentially tells Rhaenyra, essentially to go door to door and
Yeah.
root the high towers out of Tumbleton. I don't think that's
I think you
personally...
should draw them out.
You have to do something other than that because, like, Massaria said, it won't be bloodless, but it will be less bloody.
Exactly.
Like less destructive. You're not just burning a whole city, which of course burning the whole city is significantly worse
Right.
than that, especially one that has raised your banner.
And you don't want to do that, especially to your own bannermen.
Yes, you don't
But
want to do
you
that.
can cut off their supplies is what I don't understand.
Yes,
You
yes.
have 3 dragons ready at your command.
Which, of course, you know, you don't want to get caught in between Damon and because they don't. I mean, Aemon, excuse me, because
Yeah.
they don't know where Aemon is. They don't know if he's still at Harrenhal,
Yeah.
with Gawain and
Kristen on the way.
Kristen's host. Yeah, they don't want to get sandwiched in between.
Between the
Gosh, what's
yeah,
it? Ormond and
the Hightower host.
the other Hightower host.
I get
yeah.
what you're saying. In
And
between,
especially with the biggest dragon in the realm that they think is still lurking somewhere in the Riverlands.
but you got to take that chance. Whether
Probably
it just
so.
be one dragon outside of Tumbleton.
And especially since you do have 3 dragons, which are the 3 other, well, 3 of the other, of the biggest dragons in the realm. I don't want to say they're the 3 other biggest dragons in the realm, but of course Vermithor, who is the second largest, Caraxes, who is probably top 5, and goodness, I'm forgetting.
Seasmoke.
No,
Silverwing.
Silverwing.
Yeah.
I think you put them up against Vhagar, personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, and 2 of them, maybe even all 3 of them die. But if you take out Vhagar and Aemon and crush the Hightower host, you know,
Let's not
Kristen's-
forget, we have Daemon and Caraxes still.
absolutely,
We
yes.
have Cyrax. I know you don't. She doesn't
Yeah,
want
you
to.
do not put Cyrax in the same field.
No,
as,
absolutely not. But here's what I'm saying is like you can keep Silverwing and Seasmoke and Caraxes here. You can put Vermithor outside of Tumbleton and face off with Tessarion and cut off their supply line
Yes.
and pull that army out and wait for your river lords to get here. That's how you do that. And if Aemon does come back to King's Landing, you would have Caraxes, Seasmoke, and Silverwing at the ready. And I feel like those 3,
Very true.
it's a pretty much a wrap.
But, you know, you see, you know, of course, you know, we're able to look at it from an outside perspective and give
Yeah.
our, you know, we know what's happening everywhere in the 7 Kingdoms, so we're able to, you know,
Right.
talk like this.
Right.
And, of course, they don't have the luxury of that inside the show, but she is not surrounded by, you know, military strategists. Her council is filled up by Corlys, who is out
Gone
on a
now.
vendetta
Yeah.
right now, just looking for violence. Daemon, who is just endlessly bloodthirsty,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that's why she keeps sending him off.
Yes.
He can't sit still.
No.
You got Massaria trying to weasel her way.
Yes. And all she does pretty much is say, you know, we need to feed the small folk. She is relentlessly
Yeah.
petitioning for the small folk, which I get
Very
is,
important, but
Of course.
we have very important matters
Yes.
to discuss.
Some people, this is so cold, but some people do have to starve when there's a dragon at your gate.
Yeah.
You know, like if there's an option, if, you know, a quarter
It's
of your
burn or
city
starve.
starves, or
Yeah.
you get burned to the ground,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to take the lesser of those 2.
Yeah. It is
Unfortunately,
tough.
yeah. But you know, again, you know, that just goes back to Rhaenyra is faced with no easy choices here, and of course, a lot of this is her own doing.
Yeah.
Like going back to what we were saying, her last council member, the Manderly. Goodness, I'm forgetting his first name, but you know he's the
Yeah.
Manderly, and we know they're very good with coin. You know the
Right,
Manderleys
she
are.
adds a master of coin at the end of this.
Yeah, which is the Manderly. Yeah.
Manderly. Yeah.
We know they're really good with coin. They're the richest house in the north,
Right.
in modern day Game of Thrones, probably,
Probably
at
like
this
top
time.
5. Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably up there, in terms of richness. You know, they're not up there, you know, with the Tyrells, the Lannisters,
Yeah, no.
the Hightowers, or they're not like that. But they're very rich in silver. You know, they don't have
Yeah.
gold, but they have a ton of silver, and they actually make their own coins. You know, they
Yeah.
mint their own coins
Yeah.
in White Harbor, and they're the biggest port
Exactly.
in the north,
Yeah.
which is an endless
It's
supply.
essential. If you
Essential.
don't have White Harbor, good luck getting
Oh,
supplies and
absolutely,
trade.
yeah. If the north did not have White Harbor, they would be pretty cooked.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And it's the only house that still worships the old god or the new gods.
yes. Not
the north.
not the only house I think that worships the new gods. I'm not actually sure about that. I know they do worship the new gods, but what I did think was very interesting about Manderley being on the High Council is that they're not really considered true Northerners
Right.
in the Game of Thrones
Yeah. Yeah.
books. They even kind of see themselves as outsiders as far as the the North is concerned.
Right.
And we know that 900 years, almost 1,000 years ago, before Game of Thrones, they lived along the Mander.
Yes. Right.
Like far, in the Reach.
In the Reach. Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they were obviously, pushed out of the Reach and then found refuge in White Harbor.
Yeah.
And I believe were settled there by the Starks. I believe I'm forgetting exactly how the story goes, but we see it when Wyman Manderley in the Game of Thrones series is meeting with the Freys, and Davos is there as well. The young girl stands up and she says that White Harbor, in return for the Starks saving their lives, that they swore fealty to them forever. And
that's why he's so keen on getting Rickon back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think that's really interesting that there's a Northman in there. Northman, a Manderley in there.
That's true. Yeah.
And you were actually right. Only House Manderley
Yep.
Worships the new gods.
I thought, because I feel like I do remember that
Yep.
passage.
No, that was really good ball knowledge.
Do you want to
by
get
you.
into the spoiler section now? I feel like we have covered most of unless you have another point to talk.
Nope, I think that that covers it, man.
Okay.
Let's get into
Let's
it.
get into the spoiler section.
Spoiler warning.
Spoiler
Major
warning.
spoiler warning.
Turn it off.
If you don't want to know anything that's happening later in this show, tune back in for the next episode. Thank you so much for watching.
Yes, like, comment, subscribe, do all that, and we'll see you next time.
But for those of you who are curious or have already read Fire and Blood, please stick around. Please stick around.
Yes. So, we do know Sunfire is not dead.
Yes.
Not dead.
Sunfire is alive.
And we know that from the book. We know what is to come of that.
Yeah.
And we know and we see that when they go to Rook's Rest, Aegon comes in contact with Tom Tangletongue, which he will eventually help.
I can't believe I missed that in the episode. When you pointed that out, I was like, oh my goodness.
I heard the stutter, and then he was like, Tom, and I was like,
yeah,
that's it.
Absolutely.
So, in the book.
He called him Tangletongue, didn't he?
Did he?
I think he called him Tangletongue.
Yes, okay. So, in the book, he's actually on Dragonstone. We don't meet him at Rook's Rest.
Yeah.
Like this pass that we're taking. But in the book, we also get separated from Aegon for a long period of time, and then he just pops up on Dragonstone.
Yeah.
So we don't really follow his whole path of when he's smuggled out and to when he gets back.
Sure.
We just know that he was on Dragonstone, he got smuggled there, and then him, Tom Tangletongue, and the other Tom, and Sir Alfred Broom,
Yes.
they take over Dragonstone with the help of Sir Alfred, and Sunfire makes his way from Rook's Rest,
Yep.
battles Grey Ghost, kills Grey Ghost, and then him and Bela and Moondancer have a little fight off.
Yep.
Cannot wait to see
Cannot
how they
wait.
fucking do that and develop that. But so we know that he's not dead. So it feeds into how Aegon is like, oh, he's not dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Like, that is so intriguing to me. What else is there to talk about? Hold on. Oh yeah, Boros is not coming. He will not come.
No.
He is not going to be seen until Aegon takes the throne,
Mm-hmm.
and then he'll be here.
Yep.
Until then, he is nowhere to be found. Also, speaking of that, so we know that there are 3 kings that will take Rhaenyra's place
Yes.
after she, gets overthrown. When the Septon came up to her and said, "Don't make an enemy of the faith." Now, when I said it earlier, when I think it is the faith that is putting the Queen of Bastards
Mm-hmm.
on the walls, I think it's the Shepherd's men that are already forming
Yeah.
inside of wherever the hell he is, inside of King's Landing, doing that.
I'm forgetting. In Fire and Blood, does the shepherd have one hand?
Yes,
Do you remember?
I think. I believe.
I think he does as well. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think he does.
Oh, you think?
Yes,
Yeah,
you
I
know where I'm
you-
going with this.
Yes.
So in when Helena and Alicent it was last season, yes. When Helena and Alicent are making their way through the city, I believe they go to the Sept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They start getting crowded
Yeah.
by these people. Alicent gets stuff thrown at her. She actually gets hit by objects. They're grabbing at Helena.
Yeah.
Well, one person, I believe, I can't remember if they grab Alicent or they grab Helena, but they do that. And one of Aegon's newly crowned,
Yes!
newly knighted Kingsguard,
Yes!
who should not have been a Kingsguard, cuts a man's hand off.
Great pull. That is not where I was going with that.
Really?
But yes, that's got to be him.
Yeah,
It's got to be.
gotta be, I think.
Great pull.
Yeah, because he was already starving.
Yeah.
And of course, these people, they're not being necessarily violent. They
Yeah.
are desperate, they're
Very
scared, and they are
desperate.
hungry.
Yeah. And it
It's
just
not like they were trying to bludgeon them to death with clubs. They do end up doing that to a couple of the Kingsguard,
mhm.
people in that scene later, after one of them had their hand cut off. But I think that might end up actually being the shepherd.
Now that feeds into the intro. Now with the intro, I had that theory about, I thought that would eventually resemble Joffrey. When he
Mhm.
falls off of Cyrex, they rip him
Rip him
apart.
apart.
They rip his hand off, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, he's found in multiple pieces.
Right.
Yeah.
But
And there's different stories
so
about
with
that.
the tapestry, when it rips off, there is a hand that goes with it. Now that is possibly setting up the shepherd.
Yeah.
In that separation.
Man,
because
we
it's
hadn't
a
even
mass,
considered that yet.
No, and it's a mass of people right before it rips. What does he form? He forms the mass of people.
Yeah.
They storm the dragon pit, and all hell breaks loose.
Yes.
So that's a great point that you just pointed out there. That's what I was getting from that. Let's see here.
Going back to Helena,
Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk about this. Yeah, go ahead.
she's clearly pregnant.
Yes.
I think Rhaenyra, because it'll be impossible to hide this. Of course, you can drink the moon tea after you've had sex to keep yourself from getting pregnant. But once you're pregnant, you are pregnant.
Yeah, and who's going to make it? Orwell? Is he going to betray Rhaenyra?
Right. And I don't think it would, I don't even know if that would, be like, I don't know if that works for an abortion or what, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
anyways, do you think that could be, Rhaenyra finds out about this and she's going to have that baby killed whenever it's born?
Yeah.
Helena finds out about this and she just can't bear giving up her child to Rhaenyra to have it, just slain. So do you think that's why she ends up
Killing herself.
committing suicide?
I absolutely do. I think that instead of that point, though, because in the trailer you see her in the position almost, not in this post trailer, but in the original trailer before the season came out, you see Helena almost in a breaching position, like she's about to give birth.
Yeah.
I think Maelor either comes out stillborn or is just immediately taken, like you're saying, and just gets immediately taken away by Rhaenyra. And that starts turning us as an audience. We start turning on Rhaenyra
Yeah.
as Rhaenyra starts to turn. and that is what leads Helena to kill herself.
Mm-hmm. Because Helena is, throughout this whole show, she's been one of the only truly just selfless, like, good people.
Good people.
You know what I mean?
She's the only good one.
Yeah, she really is the only good one. Everyone else,
has their plots and schemes.
It's selfish motives, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's not a single person in the show
Like,
that
we
just,
root for Rhaenyra, and we
of course,
we
because
like
she is the
Daemon.
rightful ruler and everything,
Yeah,
so naturally.
but she's done her share.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Absolutely,
So-
and Daemon, who is probably, that's probably your favorite. I think that's your favorite character as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's my favorite character, but he is honestly a monster. He is
Mm-hmm.
he is not a good person.
Yeah.
He kills his wife.
Yeah.
What's his name? Something Royce.
Rhea Royce.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of Runestone.
Yep.
Yeah. Kills that.
Kills her.
Yeah.
Directly or indirectly, it's left pretty vague. Kills, has the prince's head cut off.
Yeah.
In blood and
Jaehaera.
cheese. Yeah, Jaehaera.
Or Jaehaerys.
Jaehaerys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, so with Ulf, that what we were talking about with Ulf,
Mm-hmm.
and how that's planting that little seed. What we were really talking about in that scene, they are going to turn on Rhaenyra.
Ulf
and
and
Hugh.
Absolutely.
Hugh, it seems like it'll be more towards trying to save his wife.
Mhm.
Rhaenyra might try to call them back. He's like, no. Instead of, like, in the book, it's just like he's some like warmongering, I'm a dragon lord, I'm going
Sure.
to use this power.
Yeah.
And Ulf is just a sot. Now, Ulf, it seems like, has planted the first bit of a seed because Rhaenyra starts to think of them as traitors
Yeah.
and then orders their deaths. And I think that was what we saw tonight, the first little piece of that. And the only one that stays true will be Adam, which is funny seeing that in the show she won't legitimize him.
Mm-hmm.
But he, in the end, will be the only one to stay
That
true
stayed.
to her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Rhaena,
I was waiting for you to finish, man.
also another, like in the book, it's Nettles.
Yes.
Now, they have clearly adapted the same storyline from Nettles to Rhaena.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra gets word of this in Fire and Blood and immediately orders Daemon, because they're at Maidenpool, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're searching for Vhagar. It's him and Nettles, and they're searching for Vhagar. Immediately orders either the Lord of Maidenpool or they're at Duskendale. It's one of those two to kill her.
Yes.
Daemon doesn't do it. He betrays her, and then goes off and fights Vhagar. Now, I heard this theory, and I kind of like it, that no one really knew what Nettles looked like, and that it is actually been Rhaena that whole time. But in Fire and Blood, that doesn't make any sense, because Rhaena eventually marries a Corbray.
Yeah.
She has her own dragon, so it doesn't work. But for this show,
They
might develop
100%.
there's a girl that
Yeah.
rides sheep stealer, and her
Yeah.
name's Nettles or
And they
whatever.
start calling her Nettles. Yeah,
And
because
now-
you know how rumors spread.
Exactly, and they might develop this lie, and it might come from Mazaria, who hates Daemon the most.
That's such a good point.
Might come from her.
Yeah.
So-
She's like, that's so true. Masaria does hate him. So she says, oh, Daemon, abandoned his queen and flew off with this other woman on a dragon. Left his queen behind.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point.
I could see that happen. Now they
But-
won't be lovers or anything like
No,
that.
no,
Thank
no.
God. But
Yeah.
because I was so scared that the show was going to take it that way.
Yes, man.
And I was like, please don't do this again,
Yeah.
because we had enough of it with Aemon and Alice.
Oh my gosh,
That
that
was
was
terrible.
brutal. That was brutal. I mean, I don't blame Allison for shedding a tear after that. I almost did in that recliner over there,
Yes,
man. It was
yes,
it was
dude.
bad. But that also begs the question. Actually, I really like that theory, and I'm kind of running with it.
Yeah. It was good. I like it too.
But that kind of leaves me with, like you said, Rhaena does end up having a marriage later on. Where does that
And a
leave?
dragon.
Right, yeah.
morning.
Where does that leave Reyna?
What,
At
after
the end,
this?
at the end of this story, you know.
No, Sheep Stealer could die in battle, maybe,
Yeah.
or she abandons him, like how Damon was previously saying,
Yeah.
and she just shows back up, and Lady Jane or Lady Aaron acts like she's been here this whole time,
Mm.
and maybe, but like we were saying, like I mean, you can only ride one at a time. If Sheep Stealer's alive, she can't crack open another
Yeah,
dragon
and
egg.
like I believe in pre-existing, like in the lore of Game of Thrones, like a dragon can only have one rider at a time, but a dragon rider can only have one dragon in their entire lifetime. I do believe that a rider can only ride one dragon.
Can they?
I believe so. I don't believe you can ride more than one dragon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, the dragon can have multiple riders.
Yeah,
But yes,
yeah. Throughout its lifespan, it can have
right.
multiple riders, but a rider can only have one dragon ever.
So, I understand where George is probably coming from. Now he's definitely upset with whatever they're going to do with Maelor, but I'm sure whatever they're doing with Reyna probably isn't going to end up well.
Yeah, probably not.
Like, 'cause she could still marry the Corbray at the end, and
It's very muddled though, her
but,
story right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also we seen in this trailer at the end of the episode, Damon in Tumbleton.
Yeah,
what is
what
that
is
about?
that
That
about?
is not supposed to
Yeah.
happen. But I guess
Which I'm
since
not
there's
particularly
no,
opposed to it because what was he doing in the books? Just kind of lingering around the Riverlands at the time.
He was with Nettles.
Yeah,
So I guess since there is no Nettles, you can put Damon in Tumbleton.
yeah, and
Now maybe
it's fun to watch, but
Maybe he sees Ulf and Hugh betrayed the Queen's orders, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm outmatched." There are
100%.
3 dragons here, including Caesarion.
So he has to hightail it out
I
of
gotta
there.
get out of here.
Mhm.
And then he goes back to King's Landing. Rhaenyra is not herself, and he's like, maybe they have a falling out, and then
He's
he
like, "I'm
retreats
outta
to the
here."
Riverlands back to Harrenhal.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna
I'm gonna go kill
Damon.
Aemon.
Aemon.
But yes,
Yeah.
I can definitely see that happening. But
Mm.
mm-hmm.
I really like that actually, and it would definitely it would make things cleaner because the timelines in Fire and Blood can be very,
They're all
iffy.
over the place.
They're all
with that.
over the place, and it doesn't. It's not like the main series of the Game of Thrones books, which really.
Because what's gonna happen in this next bit of the timeline in the book? I can see how you could shove it into this season.
Mm-hmm.
Next season, with all the other characters that come into play with Aegon and his reign, and then Aegon getting poisoned, and
Yes.
then you have the Arrow of the Wolf. I have no idea how you're gonna fit all of that into that final season.
Yeah.
At all.
No clue.
I have no idea, unless they don't go by the book and they do what Game of Thrones does best
They
and screw
ignore George.
everything up.
Yeah.
So unless you could do it, you could extend it another season or 2 more seasons. You can do it,
Mm-hmm.
but we started with these characters. We started with Rhaenyra. We started with Alicent. We started with Daemon. They won't be there.
Yeah.
Alicent will be there for a little bit longer than all of them, and so will Corlys. But eventually they both die.
Yeah.
So it's not much. We're kind of left with Baela, Rhaena,
Yeah.
Alan, and some of the River Lords.
Things are moving right along, though. I know at the beginning of this season we were worried about the pacing
Absolutely. Yeah.
and how they were going to do it because we didn't want it to feel rushed, but we also didn't want them to drag it this season.
No, I needed action. I needed
Yes.
something to do. I mean, they did nothing in season 2. I
Yeah.
mean, we had Meleys, and
Which
the
objectively it
battle.
was a good season, but it just wasn't what it should have been.
Yeah.
But I'm completely on the same page as you. We needed action desperately. I've seen a lot of people say, 1 and 2 of season 3 should have been 8 and 9
Mhm.
of
Oh yeah. Season,
of season 2.
yeah. So that
Which I
only
can
gives us
see, yeah.
theoretically.
Was there 9
6.
episodes in season 2? How many episodes were there?
I
Or
think
7?
there was 10.
10? Yeah,
Yeah,
so
there was
9
10.
and 10.
No, there was 8.
There was 8?
There was 8, I believe.
Got you. But anyways, the first 2 episodes of this season should have been the last 2 episodes of last season. But, and I do agree with that, you know, but also at the same time, now that we're here and living through it, it's been a really,
It's been
it's fun to
amazing.
watch.
We're halfway through the season
and
now.
we have been
and
spoiled
it's-
so far
it
by
feels
these
like
first
we've been
4
spoiled.
episodes.
And if we know what's to come, this should be the best season of television ever.
I completely agree with you. And we've said this a few times. Like, if every episode is as good as the previous 4 have been, especially 1 through 3, I think 4. Not to say that it wasn't on the same level as 1 through 3, but it was just slower. You know what I mean? It was
we got to
more
bring it down. We got to relax for a
100%.
second.
You gotta get more into the Game of
But
Thrones
still,
roots.
we got dragons and we got
you
what
got
Aegon's
everything you
doing.
want.
Like we
Absolutely.
got the high towers and that scene at the end with
and
Darren. Like
the mystery too.
also,
like
what I felt during that scene with Ormond and Darren, I was like, Darren is so good. He seems like he is such a good person. And then it made me think of Darren the Good that we eventually have as king
yes.
during the time of Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yep.
I don't know, just a little bit of a
Yeah.
just a little like same thing that's going on there. But then you see Darren kind of turn as well.
Of course, and we forgot to talk about that when we were talking about that scene. You know, when he, you know, of course he was cowering to Ormond.
Mm-hmm.
Even he is even like, you know, made to kill an innocent man. You know, which, depending on his point of view, he may or may not have been innocent because at the end of the day, he did strike a high tower, like he said, which is a crime.
And we immediately were like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah, yeah. And we knew what he should have been gelded for what he did, you know?
Yeah, like obviously we don't think that's right.
Yes, but we know the reality of it.
The reality of this world that we are immersed in, that is what happens.
Yeah, you cannot strike, you know.
I mean, it's not like you can, even in today's time, you can just strike your
you can't,
ranking officer or the president or whatever.
100%,
you can't
yeah.
just do that.
Yeah, 100%.
But, yeah, man.
Really, 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 really good episode.
You got anything else you want to cover?
I don't think so. I feel I had something on my mind, but it's not coming to me now. I'm sure we'll think about it for one of the episodes.
Bet, man.
Coming up.
All right, then.
Next episode, it will either be next week for, you know, House of the Dragon episode 5 instant recap, or we might release a Game of Thrones theory video this coming week. We were talking amongst ourselves, and we want to aim for at least 2 to 3 uploads every week.
Right.
We would like to keep a pretty consistent schedule. Not everything will be, you know, Song of Ice and Fire, you know, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones oriented, but
the world we're in right now.
It's where we are right now.
Mm-hmm. And we'll see the Odyssey next Friday.
Yep.
Or this upcoming Friday.
I thought it was Sunday.
No, it's Friday. Comes out Thursday. We'll be there Friday.
Perfect.
And we'll do a little recap video about that too.
Yep. Friday we're going to see the Odyssey. We're huge Christopher Nolan fans. I'm sure most of you are as well.
Yeah.
What a cast that is. I know this is a House of the Dragon
instant
recap, but what a cast that is. We're seeing it in IMAX. If you do go and see it, it was filmed on IMAX.
Yep.
It was designed. Christopher Nolan made it to be watched on IMAX. You'll be doing yourself a huge disservice if you don't go watch it in IMAX.
Absolutely.
So definitely get that ticket if you can. If not, we'll be here to talk about it with you.
All right. Like, comment, subscribe. Comment other things that you want us to review.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching. Bye.